You're sitting there right now, and I know what you're feeling. That restlessness, that anxiety, that gnawing sense that things aren't moving fast enough. You've been waiting for something, haven't you? Waiting for that relationship to work out, waiting for that job opportunity, waiting for your health to improve, waiting for your finances to turn around, waiting for your children to finally get it together, waiting for your life to start making sense. And you're tired, you're exhausted from the waiting. You wake up every morning wondering if today is finally going to be the day, and you go to bed every night disappointed that it wasn't. Let me tell you something that might shake you up a little bit. The reason you're suffering isn't because things aren't happening. It's because you're operating on your timing instead of understanding that there's a bigger intelligence at work here. You've got your watch, and you're tapping on it impatiently, while the universe has a calendar that's far more expansive than anything your mind can comprehend. And the gap between these two timelines, that's where all your pain lives. That's where all your frustration breathes. That's where you're losing your peace. Now, I want you to really hear this. When you came into this world, you didn't come with a manual that said everything was going to unfold according to your personal schedule. You didn't get to negotiate the terms. You didn't get to say, I'll take my career success at 25, my perfect partner at 28, my dream house at 32, and my spiritual awakening at 40. That's not how this works. But somewhere along the way, you bought into this idea that you're in control of the timing of your life. You made plans, you set deadlines, you created expectations. And now you're at war with reality because reality isn't cooperating with your timeline. Here's what I've learned after all these years of studying spiritual principles and watching how life actually works. There's an organizing intelligence in the universe that's been around a lot longer than you have. Some people call it God, some call it the Tao, some call it source energy, some call it the universe. I don't care what you call it. What matters is that you recognize it exists. This intelligence created everything you see. It orchestrated the precise distance between the earth and the sun so that life could exist. It encoded DNA with instructions so complex that scientists are still trying to understand it. It created a system where an acorn knows exactly how to become an oak tree. It doesn't need your advice, it doesn't need your timeline, and it certainly doesn't need your anxiety about when things should happen. You see, you're trying to microwave your life. You want instant results. You want what you want, and you want it now. But this infinite intelligence that created you is working on a slow cook principle. It's allowing things to develop at the perfect pace. It's coordinating millions of variables that you can't even see. It's moving people into position. It's creating opportunities. It's teaching you lessons you need to learn before you can handle what you're asking for. And all the while, you're over there tapping your foot, checking your watch, and complaining that nothing's happening. Think about this for a moment. When a farmer plants a seed, does he dig it up every day to check if it's growing? Does he stand over it with a stopwatch, demanding that it sprout according to his schedule? Of course not. He plants the seed, he waters it, he gives it sunlight, and then he trusts the process. He knows that there's an intelligence in that seed that knows exactly what to do. He knows that if he tries to force the process, he'll kill the plant. He understands that growth happens in its own time, not on his time. But you're digging up your seeds every single day. You're second guessing, you're doubting. You're wondering if you should have planted different seeds in a different field. You're comparing your garden to everyone else's garden. You're convinced that everyone else's harvest is coming in while yours is delayed. And in all of this mental chaos, you're actually interfering with the very process that's trying to bring you what you're asking for. Let me tell you about the concept of divine timing. Divine timing means that there's a perfect moment for everything. Not perfect according to your limited perspective, but perfect according to the infinite intelligence that sees the entire picture. You're looking at your life through a keyhole. You can see a tiny sliver of what's happening, but this infinite intelligence is looking at the whole mansion. It sees where you've been. It sees where you're going. It sees what you need to learn. It sees who you need to become. It sees the connections that need to be made. It sees the obstacles that need to be removed. And it's orchestrating all of this in a timing that's absolutely perfect, even when it doesn't feel perfect to you. Your ego hates this idea. Your ego wants to be in charge. Your ego wants to control outcomes. Your ego wants guarantees. Your ego wants to know exactly when everything is going to happen so it can feel safe and secure. But here's the truth that your ego doesn't want to accept. You're not in control, and you were never meant to be. You're meant to be in flow. You're meant to be in harmony. You're meant to be in alignment with this greater intelligence, not in resistance to it. Every moment you spend frustrated about the timing of your life is a moment you spend out of alignment with your source. Every moment you spend angry that things aren't happening fast enough is a moment you spend disconnecting from the very power that's trying to help you. Every moment you spend in doubt and impatience is a moment you spend creating more resistance, which actually slows down the process you're trying to speed up. You want to know why your prayers seem unanswered? It's not because nobody's listening. It's not because you're not worthy. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because you're asking for something while simultaneously vibrating at the frequency of "it's not here yet." You're praying for abundance while feeling poor. You're praying for love while feeling lonely. You're praying for healing while identifying with sickness. You're praying for success while feeling like a failure. And the universe can only give you what matches your vibration, not what matches your words. This is why divine timing is actually doing you a favor. It's waiting for you to become the person who can receive what you're asking for. It's waiting for you to raise your consciousness. It's waiting for you to release the old beliefs that would sabotage your success. It's waiting for you to heal the wounds that would contaminate your relationships. It's waiting for you to develop the character that can handle the responsibility you're requesting. It's not withholding from you. It's preparing you. Think about all the times in your life when you wanted something so badly and you didn't get it when you wanted it. But looking back now, you can see why. You can see that you weren't ready. You can see that if you had gotten it then, it would have been a disaster. You can see that the waiting period was actually a growing period. You can see that the delay was actually divine protection. But here's what happens. We learn this lesson from the past. We clearly see it. We even say, "Thank God I didn't get what I wanted when I wanted it." But then we turn right around and make the same mistake with whatever we're currently waiting for. We don't trust the process now. We only trust it in retrospect. What if you could learn to trust it in real time? What if you could learn to say, "I don't understand why this is taking so long, but I trust that there's a reason"? What if you could learn to relax into the timing instead of fighting it? What if you could learn to use the waiting period as a time to prepare yourself instead of a time to panic? You see, most people think that faith means believing that everything will work out the way they want it to. But that's not faith. That's trying to control outcomes and calling it faith. Real faith is knowing that everything will work out for your highest good, even if it looks different than what you planned. Real faith is trusting the timing, even when it doesn't make sense to your logical mind. Real faith is surrendering your schedule to a higher wisdom. Now, I can hear some of you saying, "But what about taking action? Are you telling me to just sit around and wait?" No, that's not what I'm saying at all. There's a difference between forcing and allowing. There's a difference between efforting and flowing. There's a difference between pushing and being pulled. You absolutely should take inspired action. You absolutely should move in the direction of your dreams. You absolutely should do the work. But you should do it from a place of alignment, not from a place of anxiety. You should do it from a place of trust, not from a place of fear. You should do it from a place of knowing that you're co-creating with this infinite intelligence, not trying to do it all by yourself. When you're in alignment, action feels good. It feels natural. It feels like the next logical step. But when you're out of alignment, action feels forced. It feels exhausting. It feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. And the results you get from forced action are always going to be limited because you're working against the flow instead of with it. Here's a powerful practice. Every morning when you wake up, instead of immediately going to that place of, "What hasn't happened yet? What's taking so long? Why isn't it here?" Try this instead. Say to yourself, "Today I'm going to align myself with divine timing. I'm going to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. I'm going to do what I'm inspired to do, and I'm going to release my attachment to when the results show up. I'm going to be fully present in this day, in this moment, instead of living in the future where everything I want is supposed to be." Because here's the real secret that nobody wants to hear. You think you'll be happy when you get what you're waiting for, but happiness doesn't work that way. Happiness is available right now. Peace is available right now. Joy is available right now. But you're postponing all of it until some future moment when circumstances align with your preferences. You're literally saying, "I refuse to be happy until I get what I want when I want it." And the universe is saying, "Okay, you can refuse to be happy as long as you want. That's your choice." What if the whole point of the waiting period is to teach you that your happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances? What if the whole point is to teach you that you're complete right now, not when you get that thing you're waiting for? What if the whole point is to teach you that the present moment is all you ever have, and if you can't find peace here, you won't find it there either? You've been conditioned to believe that your life will start when certain conditions are met. You'll be happy when you get married. You'll be fulfilled when you get that promotion. You'll be at peace when your financial situation improves. You'll be content when your health gets better. But this is a lie. This is the ego's trap. Because even when you get those things, if you haven't learned to be at peace now, you'll just create new conditions that need to be met before you allow yourself to be happy. I've seen it 1,000 times. People who struggle for years to get something, and then when they finally get it, they enjoy it for about 5 minutes before they start focusing on the next thing they don't have. The job they work so hard to get becomes routine, and now they want a different job. The relationship they prayed for becomes familiar, and now they notice everything that's wrong with it. The success they dreamed about becomes normal, and now they want more success. It never ends until you learn this fundamental truth. The waiting is the curriculum. The present moment is where your life is actually happening. And peace is an inside job that has nothing to do with when things show up in your external reality. Now, let me address something important. I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals. I'm not saying you shouldn't want things. I'm not saying you should just accept whatever life hands you and not try to improve your circumstances. What I'm saying is that your well-being cannot be dependent on those things happening on your timeline. You can have preferences without having attachments. You can work toward goals without being attached to when they manifest. You can take action without being attached to specific outcomes. This is the art of living in the world but not being of the world. This is what it means to have your feet on the ground and your head in the clouds. This is what it means to be a spiritual being, having a human experience. You honor the human part by setting goals and taking action. You honor the spiritual part by surrendering the timing and trusting the process. Think about the alternative. Think about what happens when you refuse to trust divine timing. You become anxious. You become stressed. You become bitter. You become resentful. You start comparing yourself to others. You start questioning if you're good enough. You start doubting if your dreams will ever come true. You start believing that life is unfair. You start feeling like a victim. You start losing faith. You start settling for less than you deserve because you're so tired of waiting that you'll take anything just to end the waiting. None of this serves you. None of this moves you closer to what you want. All of it creates more resistance and actually delays what you're trying to rush. So what's the solution? The solution is to shift your focus from when to now. The solution is to shift your energy from not yet to what is. The solution is to shift your identity from someone who's waiting for their life to begin to someone who's fully alive right now. The solution is to shift your relationship with time from enemy to friend. Time is not your enemy. Time is not working against you. Time is neutral. It's just a construct that helps us organize our experience. But you've turned it into a weapon that you use to beat yourself up. You use it to create urgency where none exists. You use it to create pressure that makes you miserable. You use it to compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You use it to convince yourself that you're running out of opportunities, running out of chances, running out of life. But here's the truth. You're not running out of anything. You're an infinite being having a temporary human experience. Your soul is eternal. Your consciousness is timeless. And the infinite intelligence that created you has access to unlimited possibilities. There is no shortage of opportunities. There is no shortage of time. There is only your belief that there is, and that belief creates your experience. When you release the pressure of your own timeline, when you stop demanding that life conform to your schedule, when you surrender to divine timing, something magical happens. You relax. You open up. You become receptive. You start noticing opportunities that were always there but you were too stressed to see. You start feeling inspired to take actions that you wouldn't have thought of when you were in panic mode. You start attracting people and circumstances that align with your desires because you're finally vibrating at the frequency of trust instead of the frequency of desperation. Let me share something with you. Every single thing you've ever wanted has already been given to you in the invisible realm. It exists as a possibility. It exists as potential. It exists in the field of infinite possibilities that quantum physics tells us about. Your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to allow it to happen. Your job is to become a vibrational match to it. Your job is to get yourself out of the way and let the infinite intelligence that knows how to grow a baby from 2 cells, that knows how to heal a cut on your finger without your conscious effort, that knows how to beat your heart without you thinking about it. Bring it into your physical reality in the perfect timing. You don't need to know how, you don't need to know when, you don't need to know through whom or through what circumstances. You just need to know that it's done. You just need to know that if you can conceive it in your mind, if you can desire it in your heart, then it's already yours in the spiritual realm, and it will manifest in the physical realm in divine timing. This is where most people get stuck. They say, I've been visualizing for years. I've been affirming for years. I've been praying for years. Where is it? And the answer is, it's on its way. But you keep pushing it away with your impatience. You keep canceling your order with your doubt. You keep resisting it with your frustration. You keep blocking it with your attachment to when it should arrive. What if you could get to a place where you're so certain that it's coming that you don't need to keep checking for it? What if you could get to a place where you're so confident in divine timing that you can actually enjoy your life while you're waiting? What if you could get to a place where you're so aligned with your source that you feel abundant even before the money shows up? You feel loved even before the relationship shows up. You feel healthy even before the healing shows up. You feel successful even before the achievement shows up. This is the state of being that attracts everything you desire. This is the vibration that opens all doors. This is the consciousness that allows miracles. But you can't fake it. You can't just say the words while feeling the opposite. You have to actually shift your state of being. You have to actually change your relationship with waiting. You have to actually trust the timing. And here's how you do that. You stop looking at waiting as a passive, frustrating experience, and you start looking at it as an active, purposeful period of preparation. You ask yourself, who do I need to become to be ready for what I'm asking for? You ask yourself, what do I need to learn during this time? You ask yourself, how can I use this waiting period to grow, to expand, to become more of who I really am? Because I promise you, the universe is not going to give you what you want until you become who you need to be to sustain it. If you want a loving relationship but you haven't learned to love yourself, the relationship will fail. If you want financial abundance but you haven't developed a prosperity consciousness, you'll sabotage the money. If you want vibrant health but you haven't addressed the mental and emotional patterns that created the illness, the symptoms will return. If you want career success, but you haven't developed the discipline and character to handle responsibility, you'll crumble under pressure. The waiting period is the preparation period. It's the classroom. It's the training ground. It's where you develop the muscles you're going to need for the next level of your life. And if you try to skip it, if you try to rush it, if you try to circumvent it, you'll just end up having to repeat the lesson later, usually in a more difficult way. So instead of asking, why is this taking so long? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of asking, when is it going to happen? Start asking, who am I becoming while I wait? Instead of asking, how much longer do I have to endure this? Start asking, how can I use this time to prepare myself for what's coming? This shift in questioning changes everything. It takes you out of victim mode and puts you in student mode. It takes you out of resistance and puts you in receptivity. It takes you out of suffering and puts you in growth. And when you're in growth mode, when you're in learning mode, when you're in expansion mode, the waiting doesn't feel like waiting anymore. It feels like living. It feels like evolving. It feels like becoming. Now let me tell you something about comparison, because this is where a lot of your pain around timing comes from. You look at other people and it seems like things are happening for them faster than they're happening for you. You see people getting married while you're still single. You see people getting promoted while you're still in the same position. You see people buying houses while you're still renting. You see people healthy while you're still struggling, and you think, what's wrong with me? Why is it taking so long for me? But here's what you don't understand. You're not seeing their whole story. You're seeing a highlight reel and comparing it to your behind-the-scenes footage. You don't know what they went through to get where they are. You don't know what lessons they learned. You don't know what price they paid. You don't know what their journey looked like. And more importantly, their timing is not your timing, because their path is not your path. You are a unique expression of the infinite. There has never been another you, and there will never be another you. Your journey is custom designed for your soul's growth. Your timing is perfect for your evolution. Your pace is exactly what you need. Comparing yourself to anyone else is like comparing an oak tree to a rose bush and saying one is wrong because it doesn't bloom the same way. They're different plants with different purposes and different timelines. When you can really get this, when you can really accept that your life is unfolding exactly as it should, when you can really trust that your timing is perfect even when it doesn't match anyone else's timing, you'll find a peace that surpasses all understanding. You'll find a freedom that comes from releasing the need to control. You'll find a joy that exists independent of circumstances. This doesn't mean you become passive. This doesn't mean you stop caring. This doesn't mean you stop dreaming or planning or working toward your goals. It means you do all of those things from a place of inner peace instead of inner panic. It means you take action because you're inspired, not because you're desperate. It means you show up fully in your life as it is right now, instead of always living in a future that hasn't arrived yet. And when you can do this, when you can really be present, when you can really trust, when you can really surrender to divine timing, you'll notice something remarkable. Things start to happen. Not because you forced them, not because you manipulated them, not because you worried them into existence, but because you got out of the way and allowed the natural flow of the universe to bring you what you've been asking for all along. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. People show up at exactly the right time. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Circumstances align in ways that seem miraculous. And you'll look back and you'll see that the timing was absolutely perfect. You'll see that if it had happened when you wanted it to happen, it wouldn't have been right. You'll see that the waiting period was necessary. You'll see that divine timing really is divine. But you can only see this when you trust it before you see it. You can only experience it when you surrender to it before it proves itself. You can only benefit from it when you align with it before you have evidence that it's working. This is what faith is. This is what trust is. This is what surrender is. So right now, in this moment, I'm inviting you to make a decision. Decide that you're done fighting with time. Decide that you're done resisting the natural flow of your life. Decide that you're done making yourself miserable by demanding that things happen on your schedule. Decide that you're ready to trust divine timing. This doesn't mean you'll never feel impatient again. This doesn't mean you'll never have moments of doubt. This doesn't mean you'll never wonder when something is going to happen. You're human. You'll have those moments. But when they come, you can recognize them for what they are. Just your ego trying to control, just your fear trying to protect you, just your conditioning trying to keep you small. And then you can choose differently. You can choose to come back to trust. You can choose to come back to the present moment. You can choose to come back to faith. And every time you make that choice, it gets easier. Every time you choose trust over anxiety, faith over fear, surrender over control, you strengthen that muscle, you deepen that knowing, you solidify that foundation. And eventually, trusting divine timing becomes your default setting instead of fighting it. Your life will transform when you make this shift, not because your circumstances will immediately change, though they might, but because your relationship with your circumstances will change. You'll stop suffering over things that haven't happened yet. You'll stop torturing yourself with timelines that you made up. You'll stop comparing your journey to everyone else's journey. You'll stop feeling like a victim of time, and you'll start feeling like you're dancing with it. And from that place of alignment, from that place of trust, from that place of surrender, everything you've been asking for can finally find its way to you. Not because you forced it, not because you worried it into existence, not because you manipulated the timing, but because you finally got out of the way and let divine intelligence do what it does best, orchestrate your life in perfect timing for your highest good. So take a breath right now, a real breath. And as you exhale, let go of the need to know when. Let go of the need to control the timeline. Let go of the need to have it all figured out. And as you inhale, breathe in trust. Breathe in faith. Breathe in the knowing that you are being taken care of by an infinite intelligence that loves you, that wants the best for you, that has a plan for you that's far better than anything you could have planned for yourself. Your timing is not God's timing. Your schedule is not the universe's schedule. Your plan is not the divine plan. And this is actually the best news you could ever receive. Because your timing is limited by what you can see and understand. God's timing is informed by infinite wisdom and perfect love. Your schedule is based on fear and scarcity. The universe's schedule is based on abundance and perfect orchestration. Your plan is constrained by your past experiences and current beliefs. The divine plan is unlimited and knows things about your future that you can't even conceive of yet. So why would you cling so tightly to your way when there's a better way available? Why would you fight so hard for your limited perspective when you could surrender to infinite wisdom? Why would you make yourself miserable trying to control something you were never meant to control in the first place? Let it go. Trust the timing, surrender to the flow, and watch what happens when you stop fighting the river and start floating with it. Watch what happens when you stop demanding that the universe conform to your schedule and start conforming yourself to the universe's rhythm. Watch what happens when you stop living in the future and start living in the now. This is where your power is. This is where your peace is. This is where your joy is. Not in some future moment when everything aligns with your preferences, but right here, right now, in this present moment, when you choose to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, when you choose to have faith that divine timing is perfect timing, when you choose to surrender your will to a higher will that actually knows what it's doing. You are loved, you are guided, you are supported, you are being taken care of in ways you can't even see, and everything you've been waiting for is on its way to you in perfect timing. Not your timing. Divine timing. And that's infinitely better. So rest in that knowing. Live from that place, act from that consciousness, and watch your life transform from the inside out. Because when you align with divine timing, when you really trust it, when you really surrender to it, you stop being at war with your life and you start being at peace with it. And from that peace, everything becomes possible.